Hello and welcome to HNS Academy. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use Google Jamboard. First, we'll go through different main features of Jamboard, and then I'll show you different ways how you can use Google Jamboard more interactively with your students. You can show your support for the content we create by hitting that like button and sharing the video with your fellow teachers, and by also subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell icon so you'll be notified for any upcoming content. With that being said, let's get into the video. So first thing you need to do is to go to this link here, which is jamboard.google.com. I'll also be pasting this link down in the description so you can open it from there. So once you open this link, you'll get to this main screen. Here you'll see some recent Jamboards which you've created, and you can either open one of these and start working on these. Other than that, you have some options on the right side here. You can either change the view to grid view or row view. You can also sort out the jam, so if you have multiple ones and then you want to sort those out by date wise or title wise. Other than that, you also have an option to refresh these. If you have any new if you've added any new jam recently, then you can also refresh it to get that if it's not showing up over here. And another option is to sort this by different ways. There are a couple of options, whereas you can either filter out the results with owned by anyone, owned by me, or not owned by me. Here you actually see all the Jamboards which you've created either by yourself or have been shared with you, so you'll get all the Jamboards over here. Next thing we need to do is in order to create a new Jamboard, you need to go down to this right hand corner and then click on the plus icon. Once you click on this, it will open up a new page for you, and here you get your main Jamboard over here. Now if you go to this option here, if you click on it, you can rename your Jamboard as per your requirement. Let's call it a demo. And now up on the top you have multiple options. Here you can either zoom in on the screen. You have multiple zoom options. You can go up to 200%. Next to this, you have the option of background. If you click on it, you can either have a dotted one, you can have a lined one, you can have a graph, and you can also have the option to use different colors at the back as well. Next to this, if you want to clear everything on the frame, you can click on it and it will clear everything. We haven't added anything for now, so it won't make any difference. Okay. Next to this, if you look on the on the left side, here you have different tools which you can use to interact with your Jamboard. First thing is the pen tool. If you click on it, it gives you different options. Here you have multiple pen types. This is a pen, marker, highlighter, and a brush. You also have the option of different colors over here as well. Now, for example, let's use this marker tool. You can write different things. It does. Okay, and underneath the pen tool, you have the eraser tool, which you can use to clear out the content which you've written. So you can use these interactively. Okay, let's clear these out. Now, underneath it, there's a selection tool. Now this can be used, we'll use this later on once we have some objects to be selected. Underneath the selection tool, we have the sticky note option. If you click on it, here you can add different tags. For example, let's call it a sample note. And here you have different options for background as well. You have different background colors. Change the colors over here, and you can also change it to none as well. However you like, you can use that. Let's give it a green and save it, and let's cancel this. Now here you have your sample note on the top. You can move it around by clicking on it. You can make it big or small as per your requirement, and then you also have the option to rotate it as well, so you can change the orientation. On the right top corner, you have these three dots. If you click on these, you have different options. You can either edit it by changing. If you want to change the text inside it, you can add it over there. Alternatively, if you click on it, inside it there's another option to duplicate the same one. If you want to create another same sample, if you want to create another sticky note, you can just duplicate it as well, and then you can move it around as per your requirement. Now underneath the sticky note option, you have the option to add image. Now if you click on it, inside the image option you have multiple options to choose the images from. You can either upload it from your computer, you can use the Google search for images as well. You can also use the image from a Google Drive, and you can also use the Google Photos option as well. So let's upload a photo. Select the file, computer. Let's see, let's use this one for now. And then once you click on it, it will upload the file over here. And then once it's uploaded, you have your file there on the main Jamboard over here. Okay, here you have your file over here. You can do the same things as you did with your sticky note. You can resize it, you can make it big, you can rotate it, and you also can duplicate the file as well. So these are different things you can do with your pictures as well. Now underneath the image tool, you have the laser tool. Now laser tool can be used to point out to different things on the on your screen or on your Jamboard. For example, here if you want to point out to a particular section on your Jamboard, you can use the laser tool. Now after the laser tool, we have some options on the top here. If you click on these three dots here, you have different options. You can either rename your Jamboard over here as well, just like you can either click on the file name over here, or you can use this rename option to rename it. You can also download your Jamboard as a PDF file, or you can save each frame as an image file as well. Now this can be handy if you want to the students to save each individual page which has been created for each student, to save it as an image, and then they can upload it later on into a Google Classroom or wherever other management system you're using. You can also remove the Jamboard by clicking on this option. You can create a copy, and here you have the options for updates and send feedback as well. Now next to this, here on the top, if you see some options over here, if you click on this next arrow, then it will create another frame inside the same Jamboard. So if you want to go back to the first frame, we've actually created two more here. And if you want to go back to the first frame, you can use these arrows to move in between the options. Now another thing is if you want to click on this frame bar over here, if you click on it, it also shows you a preview of each of the frames which you've created, and then you can switch between different frames by clicking over here as well. And then here, if you want to duplicate a frame, like for example you've created something and you want to duplicate it and you want to give the same exercise to multiple students, you've created it on one frame, then you can simply duplicate it and assign it to different students with their name on each page. So this can be a useful tool in that way. And if you want to go back, you can just click on this arrow here, and then it will collapse that frame bar tool on the top. Now next, currently we're the only one who are currently using this Jamboard. If we want to share this with other students, here on the top you have the option to share it with students. If you click on it, here you'll have different options. You can either you can add the name of different people over here and then share it with them, or if you want to share it with a class, then you can get the link over here. If you click on this option over here, then you can copy the link here, and then you can share that same link in a different management system which you're using. You can either share it in a Zoom class or Google Meet class or whatever other tool you're using to teach your students. You can paste this link over there, and then they can use that link to join you on your Jamboard over here. Now here, before sending the link, you also have the option to choose either if anybody with the link can join you, or you can also use this restricted option as well, where you get to choose who will join your Jamboard session. Now next to this, you have a couple of options over here. You can either give the viewer access to the other person or your students, or you can also change it to editor as well. Now if you change it to editor, this way you'll be giving access to other Jamboard users as well, that they'll be able to interact with the Jamboard and they'll be able to edit anything which you create. Now this might not be a good option or good idea when you want to give some kind of a lesson or a demo in the first place, and then you want the students to interact. So initially you would want to keep it as a viewer access for everyone, so you can easily deliver your lecture or an online class. And once you want the students to reply back to you or to answer your queries, you can then change it back to editor over here and then give them the access as per your requirement. So here you are, let's change it back to viewer and let's click on done. Okay, so here it shows you that you've updated your permission. Now in this part of the video, I'm going to show you how two users can interact with the Jamboard at the same time. Now I've given access to another person here, which is on this side. So what I can do is I can add a sticky note here. Let's see. Okay, and then let's save it. Cancel. And here, as you can see over here, it's making the same changes on the other side as well. Once we add something on one side of the Jamboard, it will be the same movement will be shown on the other side as well, and with a slight delay, because it takes time to process the data. So with the second or 2 seconds delay, it will make the same change on the other side of the window as well for the other user. Now here, as you can see, I have given access to this person, and if I make any change over here, for example, if I add a sticky note over here, sample, let's call it sample 2, and save it, and let's see. As you can see, once I've made any change over here, it also shows the change over here as well. So this is how, for example, this side of the screen is a student, and if they want to make any change, or if they want to add some idea to the Jamboard, they can add their input and it will show up on the other side, on my side as well. So this thing, it's really helpful, and it can be a very interactive tool. And the whole idea to use the Google Jamboards is to make things more interactive, and to have students interact with your online classes. However, this can be frustrating in some scenarios where you don't want the students to change anything. Now here's another scenario where it can be frustrating for you if the students are able to edit things. For example, this is a Jamboard, and one of your students uses the eraser tool and it erases this stuff which you've written, and as you can see, it will remove on your end as well, and you don't want this to happen. Now in order to overcome this scenario, what you can do is you can either go back to the share option here, and here you can change the the rights for that particular student, and you can change it to viewer and then save it. And as you can see, it says that your access has expired on the other end. Once they upload it or reload the session, you'll now be able to see, once the page is reloaded, you'll see that particular person doesn't have the toolbar on the side, and they only have to view only access to this Jamboard. So this can be a one fix to your editing problem, where you don't want the students to edit any of your Jamboards. Now this could work when you want to give an online lesson and you don't want anyone to interact with it. However, the whole idea about using Jamboards is that you want students to interact with your Jamboards. So that way you can either ask them nicely at the start to leave their thoughts towards the end of the class, and once you've finished up your sessions, you can then ask them to add their queries onto the Jamboard. Next thing we're going to look at is how you can assign different exercises to different students on the same Jamboard. First thing is to use different frames. For example, if we go to different frames, you can name each frame and then assign a name to each frame for each of the students, and then they can do their own work on a particular frame. However, in this scenario, everyone would have the editor access to each of the frames. So you would have to ask them to only work on their own specific frames, and don't make any changes on anyone else's frames. However, if you're still concerned about people making changes on other students' work, then another way is to create a separate Jamboard for each of the students, which can be specifically shared with that particular student only, and they can do their own work on each of their Jamboards, and then they could submit those Jamboards over to you. That's all for today's video. Hope you've enjoyed the video today and you've learned something useful. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified for any upcoming content, and don't forget to share the video with your fellow teachers. That's all for today. Have a good day. Bye bye.